Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going all in on the latest news digest from the Nepali Diaspora Network.
We are the Nepali Diaspora Network podcast, your essential source for news, views, and insights for Nepalese all around the world.
And we're here to help you stay connected with everything happening back home and, within the global community.
And this week has been, well, it's been a study in profound contrasts.
It really has.
We've seen these incredible peaks. I mean, the Lumbini Lions winning the Nepal Premier League, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then you have students launching their own satellite.
Incredible innovation, but that's set against some really grim realities.
Exactly. The human cost of digital exploitation, the constant churn of political and economic uncertainty, it's a lot.
That tension really defines everything right now. So our mission in this deep dive is to pull out the most crucial pieces from these stories so you can get informed quickly and thoroughly.
Let's jump right in. Segment 1, the global Nepalese community, a story of both triumph and, unfortunately, treachery.
And we have to start with a really sobering story. It's a critical warning about the evolving risks facing young, ambitious Nepalese.
That's right. This week saw the coordinated rescue of 47 Nepalese nationals from these brutal digital slavery camps in Mayawati, Myanmar.
And this incident is so alarming because of who was targeted.
Exactly.
Our sources say these were highly educated, tech-savvy young people. They weren't looking for manual labor. They were drawn in by social media ads.
Ads promising these amazing high-paying IT jobs. Digital marketing roles, supposedly in places like Thailand.
But the reality was something else entirely.
It's the sophistication of the operation that's so disturbing. These victims were trafficked into completely lawless enclaves, places like KK Park, which is notorious for having zero state oversight.
And once there?
They were held captive, often tortured, and they were forced to run these incredibly complex financial scams, cryptocurrency scams, romance scams, making millions for their captors.
It's just the darkest side of digital migration.
It is. And the fact that it took a coordinated effort from the Nepali embassy in Bangkok and Thai authorities just shows you how high the stakes are for our diaspora.
That vulnerability is very real. But let's pivot now to a massive global triumph.
A much-needed one.
Absolutely. Nepal-born entrepreneur Ajay Rajhandri was just named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia 2025 list. I mean, this is the kind of global visibility that proves Nepalese talent is second to none.
It absolutely does. What Rajhandri has done with his startup, Herd, is genuinely innovative. They're using advanced AI to find e-commerce brands with high potential.
And then they just acquire them.
They acquire them, and then they use their platform to scale their operations globally and fast. It's a totally next-generation growth model.
The results really speak for themselves. In just over a year, his company generated revenue over $15 million.
Which is incredible.
It's not just a personal win, It's a blueprint. It shows that innovation driven by Nepalese abroad can fundamentally change major global industries.
And while we're on the global diaspora, there are a couple of quick updates that show how people are mobilizing, both politically and economically.
Okay, what's first?
So the U.S. has introduced a new gold card visa. It's a pathway for foreign investors who can commit at least $1 million.
A new avenue for high net worth Nepalese to expand their footprint in the States.
Exactly. And on the political front, ahead of the 2026 elections, the diaspora is really demanding to be included.
You're talking about the iVoting initiative.
That's the one. We saw nearly 60 Nepalese student organizations across 10 different countries submit a collective demand to the Prime Minister for digital voting rights.
That shows a really unified, politically active, global community. They refuse to just be spectators in their own nation's future.
And that political mobilization, well, brings us directly to segment 2, the ongoing challenges with political stability and the opposition back home.
Right. And we saw a landmark development this week. The interim government signed a 10-point agreement with representatives from the Gen Z movement.
Which is a huge step.
Crucially, this accord formally institutionalizes the September uprising, recognizing it as a Yana Andolan, or a people's movement.
The recognition is one thing, but it's the tangible reforms that really matter here.
So what's in the agreement?
The accord commits the government to several big structural changes, things designed to, curb political impunity. Key among them is introducing a none of the above, or no to option, on ballots.
That's a game changer.
It is. And mandatory internal primaries for political parties, plus term limits for leadership positions.
But don't these kinds of promises often prove fleeting in Nepalese politics? I mean, is this accord actually binding, or is it just political theater to calm things down?
Well, that's the core tension, isn't it? These commitments, they look great on paper, but they need legislative follow-through to mean anything.
And the ink was barely dry before problems started?
Exactly. A radical faction of the Gen Z movement protested the deal right there at the signing. It signals that the government has only made a deal with part of the movement. Instability is still the baseline.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Sushila Karki is trying to project an image of, active governance. She's just expanded her cabinet for the fourth time.
Right. Some key new appointments. Yeah. Shraddha Shrestha is now in for women, children, and senior citizens, and Rajendra Singh Bhandari for labor.
This constant cabinet reshuffling, though, it speaks to just how hard it is to hold a coalition together right now.
It does. And while the government is trying to stabilize itself, the established opposition is mobilizing on a massive scale. We just saw CPN-UML chairman KP Sharma Oli hold a huge rally in Bhaktapur.
When you say huge, what kind of numbers are we talking about?
The estimates are around 70,000 people. And Oli used that platform to just fiercely criticize the government's legitimacy. He's demanding the reinstatement of the dissolved parliament.
And how is he framing the Gen Z movement?
He's framing it not as a genuine political force, but as a destabilizing factor that's trying to undermine the Constitution itself.
Wow, so that really sets up a high-stakes environment for the next election.
For sure. But the Election Commission is moving ahead regardless. They're reviewing polling centers right now. And get this, 100 political parties have registered for the proportional election system for the March 5th, 2026 election.
100 parties. Amidst all this, though, the government is trying to regain some public trust by focusing on anti-corruption.
Yes, on International Anti-Corruption Day, PM Karki's rhetoric was very strong. She called corruption the greatest threat to human rights and development and vowed to take the toughest measures possible.
And we saw immediate action that, well, it really rattled the financial sector.
We did. The Central Investigation Bureau, the CIB, arrested Prabhu Bank CEO Ashok Sherchan over a loan dispute.
That's a major development.
It's huge, because normally an arrest of a high-profile banker would go through the central bank. The CIB bypassing that route sends a really powerful message.
A message that no one is above this new anti-corruption push.
Exactly. It's introduced a lot of unpredictability into the financial markets.
And when you connect all this, the Gen Z uprising, the opposition, this anti-corruption drive, it all funnels into segment 3, economic headwinds and infrastructure challenges.
The economic fallout is unavoidable. Let's look at two sides of this coin. One bit of pragmatic relief versus a frankly staggering economic blow.
Okay, let's start with the good news. It's for travelers and for border towns.
Right. Nepal is finally removing the decade-long ban on carrying high-denomination Indian currency, the 200 and 500 rupee notes.
So people can now carry up to 25,000 rupees in those larger notes.
Yes, and that is a lifeline for tourism and commerce in the border areas. Indian visitors are the largest segment of our international tourism, so this is a big deal.
Okay, so that's the relief. What's the blow?
The cost of the recent political instability is just monumental. A government report this week estimates the Gen Z uprising caused physical damages amounting to 84.45 billion rupees.
Let me just put that into context. That's about 586 million US dollars. A huge immediate hit to public resources.
And that money has to be diverted from planned development projects. The consequences are immediate. The Asian Development Bank, the ADB, has already downgraded Nepal's GDP growth forecast for 2025-26 down to just 3%.
That's a stark reflection of the cost of internal conflict.
And you see it on the financial markets, too. The NEPSE index fell almost a full percentage point this week, and the U.S. dollar hit a record high of 144.37.
Which means imports, fuel, machinery, basic goods, it all gets more expensive.
It directly hits people's purchasing power. Now, on infrastructure, it's a mixed bag. Some progress, some frustrating stagnation.
Okay, what's moving forward?
We're seeing progress on the Binijamsam-Kerala Road project. It's a critical trade corridor between China and India. 13 bridges are done, 3 more are almost finished.
But there's always the shadow of stalled projects.
Always. The Minister for Physical Infrastructure, Coleman Gussing, just issued a 1-month ultimatum for the Gaman Bridge project. It's been stalled for 11 years.
11 years.
He's threatening to terminate the contract if work doesn't resume immediately. It just highlights the massive inefficiency these delays cause.
And there was a major governance story from the Supreme Court.
Yes, a significant ruling The court ordered the reinstatement of Hitendra Dev Shakya as the executive director of the Nepal Electricity Authority.
Why?
The court ruled the government's decision to remove him was, and I'm quoting here, biased and arbitrary. It's a real sign of the judicial system pushing back against executive overreach.
Okay, and before we move on, just a quick public service note for our listeners in Kathmandu.
Right. KUK, the water services provider, announced that all their services payments, new connections, everything will be suspended for 3 days from December 12th to the 14th.
That's for some essential server integration work, so just be aware of that.
Okay, on to segment 4. A much-needed dose of national pride, community health, and conservation.
Let's start with a moment of just pure national joy. The Lumbini Lions completed this incredible comeback run to win the NPL, the Nepal Premier League 2025 title.
A true fairy tale story. They went from the bottom of the table last season to champions this year.
And they beat the Sudar Pashchim Royals by 6 wickets in the final. The turning point was clearly Captain Rohit Patel.
Oh, his performance was just stellar. That sensational hat-trick that restricted the Royals to only 85 runs. That was the game right there. It's a huge morale boost for the country.
It really is. But maybe the most inspiring story of the week comes from the intersection of science and community development.
You're talking about the Chepang students?
Yes. Students from the marginalized Chepang community in Chitwan successfully launched their own 1.2-kilogram pico satellite. They named it Slippers to Sat.
It's just a revolutionary project.
Oh.
And what's fascinating is its dual utility.
So what can it do?
Well, it has high-capacity cameras for real-time monitoring of vegetation and water resources. But the potential game changer is the integrated earthquake early warning system.
An earthquake early warning system, how does that even work on a basic level?
It's designed to detect these very subtle pre-seismic phenomena, specifically microelectromagnetic waves that are generated in the Earth's crust just before a major tremor.
So it could give precious seconds, maybe minutes of advance warning.
Which could literally be life-saving in a place like Nepal. We do have to note, though, that because of the current solar maximum, the satellite's orbital life is unfortunately shortened to only about 1.5 years.
Still, the innovation is just undeniable. Now, shifting to community health, we're seeing some tangible improvements on the ground.
Yes, this ADB-funded project in Pangadi has delivered some major infrastructure. They built 20 multi-purpose shelters.
Each with 16 beds, oxygen support, and much better wash facilities. That's water, sanitation, and hygiene.
Right, and they function like small community hospitals providing critical local health support. In parallel, the government, with backing from UNICEF and the WHO, launched the National Mental Health Campaign 2025.
And that's urgently needed.
It is. The data shows that a staggering 18.3% of children and 5.2% of adolescents in Nepal suffer from emotional or behavioral difficulties.
And finally, let's turn to conservation. The new Swasthya Sagarmatha project, a collaboration between WWF and the Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee.
It's a 3-year initiative to strengthen waste management. And crucially, this includes e-waste in the Everest region.
Which is vital, especially with tourism numbers hitting over 50,000 visitors last year. The pressure on that ecosystem is immense.
Okay, so let's try to bring the thread of all these different stories back together for you.
When you look at everything, the political turmoil, the financial costs, the digital exploitation, and then this amazing innovation, what's the central theme we should take away?
The central theme is a community navigating these colossal internal and external pressures. Whether it's protecting our youth from digital slavery or building our own satellites, the resilience is immense. But the key to protection and advancement requires vigilance, transparency, and maybe most importantly, some kind of internal unity in the face of all this political instability.
Absolutely. If you want the full context on all these stories, please visit nepaldiaspora.net for the full newsletter and the latest updates.
And we want to give a friendly shout out to our partner, Belayat.uk. If you're a Nepalese professional or student in the UK, it's a great classifieds platform for jobs, housing, events, and, finding local Nepalese-owned businesses.
And for our parting thought, something for you to think about that builds on all the political activity we covered today.
The country is, without a doubt, moving forward. It's being pushed by the energy of the youth and the momentum of these reform promises. But what happens when the next big crisis, be it climate or financial or political demands, absolute unity? Unity between the newly recognized radical Gen Z movement, the established political parties they distrust, and the ever-growing global diaspora.
That's the real question.
That ability to unify or the failure to do so, that will ultimately define Nepal's course for the next decade.
It's a truly provocative thought to end on. Thank you for joining this deep dive. We'll be back next week.